And welcome to the Town of Raleigh Municipal Lighting Plant Board of Commissioners meeting, February 14th, 2018. And so, just to let you know, this meeting is being audio and video recorded digitally and will be played back on Raleigh Community Media at some point, typically about a week or so away, probably, generally. So, I'll set there. First agenda item, citizens query, 7 to 7:10 p.m. Yep.
Gentleman here.
I guess I have a question, I suppose.
Oh, okay.
Dan White, 634 Westfield Street, and it's a question concerning the Raleigh Solar, the project that proposed at 623 Westfield Street, the 2 megawatt project. I called the office last week, and I got an answer, but then I sent an email yesterday. My question is concerning the net metering policy. And it's reading that policy, it says there's a maximum of a 500 kilowatt installation. So my question is just trying to square the circle of how a 2 megawatt installation is allowable under the net metering policy, where residential or commercial properties, it says section 1A, up to 5 kilowatts, and then section 1G, installations will be limited to a maximum size of 500 kilowatts. So when I called the office, I was told that that doesn't apply in this case, and that was the explanation. So I'm hoping to just get a little more clarity on that somehow. Like I said, I emailed through the website yesterday. Not a great interface, so I don't know if what came across, because I did copy and paste a couple of policy sections of the policy. So just looking for some clarity on that, how the net metering policy applies to a 2 megawatt installation.
You want me to answer?
Sure.
Okay. My name's Dan Foley. I'm the manager of the department. The net metering policy basically applies to any commercial or residential array that's either roof-mounted, ground-mounted, that's on the customer side of the meter. So, in other words, any array that's on the load side of a customer's meter, that policy would apply to. Anything utility scale, such as either Central Street or this proposed project, goes directly into the distribution system. So it's not, there is no net metering because the power generated by the solar array is purchased directly by the utility. So there is no netting as far as the net metering policy, so it doesn't apply in that respect.
So is there any policy that governs the size of installations? Why 2 megawatts? Is there a possibility that this project go larger than 2 megawatts?
There is no policy per se that governs the size. What would govern the size is Raleigh's portfolio as far as our power supply goes. We generally mix a large different power supply contracts into that mix, so we don't want to have overabundance of one or the other.
Sure.
So what we do is we spread it out among different suppliers. So we don't want too much of one thing. So I guess the short answer to your question is no. There's not much chance of this getting any bigger, because we only have so much power we can take from an array in town, because we already have purchased long-term contracts out of town.
Okay.
So that's how it mixes out.
And may I ask what price will be purchasing the RMLP will be purchasing the power at?
The PPA agreement right now is at 7.5%. I mean cents. Sorry, not
Per
percent.
kilowatt.
Yeah, per kilowatt hour.
And on Monday, Ms. Berkowitz mentioned that after the rest of the people left at the selected meeting, that this project will lower the electrical bills of Raleigh residents due to there won't be a distribution charge. How does that work out in practice?
That's not entirely correct because the array itself won't have any effect on your utility bill per se.
Okay.
The only time it will have an effect is if you do sign up for the community solar program.
I see.
Then if you sign up for the community solar program, you will get credits depending on, how this all works out. I have, if you want, I can give you the letter that describes the community solar program. If you want to just jot down your email address,
Sure, absolutely.
and then I can send it to you tomorrow.
That's great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just trying to get a little more information.
Okay. Bob?
Yep.
Hello, Brian DePersia, I live at 500 Weathersfield Street. Want to take this opportunity to introduce myself. I'm a resident, I've been here for about 5 years in town, this May. And last month I had the opportunity to go and meet with a national statewide organization, Massachusetts Climate Action Network. And they're an organization within the state that helps to promote some climate awareness, information within the towns throughout the state, promote renewable energy, conservation, and some different state programs that are available for all the towns and residents. I wanted to kind of I was able to join that meeting. I was as a resident, not representing the light board or the town or anything, just as a resident to get more information and understand how I could inform local residents and other people of the town how we can participate in some of the programs that the state offers and learn from some of the other municipalities in the state. This particular meeting was geared around municipalities with lighting plants. So Rowley and about 28 other towns that all have munis were able to get together and communicate and share some of their ideas and experiences for what they've been doing in recent years. And I'd like to just kind of get some feeling for how Rowley it intends to continue with some of the programs or join in some of the programs that are available. Like community solar, EV programs. I see that's on the list here. I wasn't aware that was an initiative that maybe we're exploring, so that makes me excited. Community solar as well, and how we would participate in some of the peak power and time of use programs. I see that we also have some initiatives that do work into that for some of the larger users in the town, and also to see how we can explore joining into the Renewable Energy Trust of the state. As a municipality, it's an extremely small fee on a per kilowatt hour basis for customers, in the order of 500 thousandths of a cent per kilowatt hour. And when you do that, you enable the town as a whole to get grants and different programs that the state offers. Whereas if you're not a member of that trust, you miss out.
Yeah, it's green communities. Is that what you're talking about?
That is a portion of it, yes. Yes,
Okay.
in order to qualify as a green community as well. And this was the question I was going to ask the board was if we have at least one utility customer in town, we can qualify as a green community. Basically, any either a resident or a business that pays Eversource or an actual utility company, we can join that.
That's interesting because I'd have to look into if there's any. I don't believe there is, and Bob, you might know better, or even Eric, if we have any customers in town that actually are residents of Raleigh but actually pay an electric bill to National Grid. Do you know of any, or?
No, everybody's under us here in town.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of municipalities see. Like, they can't all participate, but as long as there's just one, they can actually
Yeah,
qualify
yeah.
for it.
Okay.
The only
So
thing you gotta watch out for is that there are phone calls coming in quite often, wanting to know if you wanna join a different utility.
Yeah, there is a scam going on about, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. But this is different than that, but,
Yeah, yeah, and that would open up lots of other opportunities too as being a green community. So if we don't, then we can't participate in that.
okay.
Just aside from that, I think it was a constructive meeting that I was able to participate in. Some of the other towns had like superintendents from the light board or managers from the light board or lighting department that were there. So if that's something that you've not heard of or maybe would be interested in, that could be something that we can engage the town and the community to get more involved with some of these programs that are available.
Okay. That would require basically information given to the commissioners, and then the commissioners voting on whether they want to subject the residents to the $0.5
Yep.
on everybody's electric bill. So
Sure.
it's up to the commissioners if they want to, take a look at that.
Okay, the citizens' query is set after 7:10.
Thank you.
So we'll
You're
all
welcome.
sit there, and we, as Dan has said, we will take a look at it. Okay, item number 2 for agenda is review and accept previous meeting minutes. You got the minute down?
I read them.
You
I
read
had
them?
them online.
Okay,
Okay. Give you a motion to accept the minutes.
okay.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the previous meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
I'm going to sign this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 3, Rowley Solo LLC update.
The developer is here tonight. She wanted to kind of give the board an update on the project status.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Foley. Thank you for allowing us to give you a current status update. Our project is moving forward nicely. We continue to work with the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board. We are currently in revision number 6 with our engineering team, and they're working on providing our revision as soon as possible, and once we are able to do that, we will share it amongst the boards, and hopefully we'll be able to report back further down the road with some additional progress. That's about it for this evening, and if anyone has any questions, be happy to try to answer best we can, but that's good progress on our part, and working collaboratively with the boards to get things done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Article 4, electric vehicle program update.
At the last commissioners meeting, we talked briefly about, actually, we've talked about this at a couple of board meetings. And we had a gentleman come in and do a presentation on the EV program that he's brought forth in the towns of Braintree. We had a meeting with 5 of the municipal electric utilities in my office about 2 weeks ago now. All the utilities are interested. But we need to basically make the pool a little bit bigger in order to bring the cost down, to make it, palatable for each utility, because the cost, mostly for the advertising and to get the program rolling, is very front-end heavy. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to get each utility to agree on the program and to participate in the program, but I think, it's going to move forward. We just got to contact, I believe there was 3 other utilities we were going to contact in this area. It's going to expand the area quite a bit, but it's, I don't want to mention the towns on TV, but those towns have been contacted, and we're just waiting kind of for a response from them before we have another meeting and then, push the program forward. But everybody was very interested in the program, very interested in the program,
Good.
and how much the actual electric rates relate to how much per gallon of gas they would be spending as far as the, driving an EV compared to a gasoline vehicle. So they were all quite interested in that. I would assume we're going to have a meeting in the next probably 2 or 3 weeks. So I'll definitely, keep the board up to date on what's going on as far as the program goes. But it is looking like it is going to move forward.
I think as the people start to read about electric vehicles, so look at the cost savings compared to gasoline. As gasoline prices, start to go up, they'll see the trade-off, and I think, but, people have to come around little by little and to understand the buy-in to electric vehicle.
Well, I think once the residents see the actual cost comparison between what they'll pay to charge the vehicle and what they pay currently for gasoline on a vehicle, and it's kind of shocking when when this company talks to dealerships and actually gets your customers a discount for vehicles, and how much that lease payment will be compared to a gas vehicle, and how much they'll save on the cost of gasoline compared to charging the vehicle. I think the program will take off. And the gentleman who did the presentation here actually is going to meet or do a presentation with the state to kind of show them what the program's all about. And the state is actually looking into very shortly trying to bolster the EV sales. So they're going to be looking for programs, and this might be a program that actually statewide that they may be looking into. So it's very interesting, and hopefully we can get it moving.
Yeah, I think once we get past this, the battery portion of it, the longevity of the battery charge, that is going to be the catalyst that's going to propel it forward. Right now, I don't think people, when they look at their commute, they're looking at the commute and they're thinking about the charging of the vehicle, and they don't think they're going to have enough charge, but the average commute is probably something down around, 18 miles, one way. So, the vehicle will be charged, mostly it'll be used for a commuting vehicle, I would imagine.
Yeah.
For most people. So.
Well,
Okay.
I'll keep you up to date on what's going on with the program.
Sounds good.
Good job, Dan. Thank you.
Okay, article.
Cool.
Yep.
Is that a pilot program out of just a small grouping of towns and cities, or can you share any details on like what manufacturer of vehicles is interested in?
There'd be multiple manufacturers. So what the program does is it goes to multiple dealers and gives the customer actual choice. So let's say they work to deal with Chevy, so the Chevy Bolt would be the car that you would drive. And Ford, I don't know if Ford has one, but Nissan Leaf is the other car. So you would have your choice of vehicles, I believe, and the price would probably be different. But that's pretty much how it would work.
Is there a rate reduction on the program when you like a reduced power price if you're part of the program? Or
No, we haven't got into that yet, as far as, off-peak charging, and I know that's something that the state is talking about, and that's something that's out there, but we haven't talked about off-peak pricing for charging infrastructure for chargers, or, charging at home, so we haven't talked about that yet.
Haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah.
I think best way to put it, we've been looking at it because when the battery is perfected, They've been talking about this capacitor battery. That's the best way I can say it. And it charges in minutes.
Sure.
If that comes to fruition, okay, that changes, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
And if you can get 400 to 500 miles on a charge, that
Yeah.
internal combustion engine is passé.
Right.
And we take a giant leap.
Yes.
But the thing is, that battery is
Not
just-
there yet on that
It's
technology.
not there. But
Hopefully we could have a program.
But we've
before
been
then.
talking at the table here just to prepare, because
Yep.
my gut feeling, it's gonna happen overnight. And I don't think we wanna be behind the 8 ball.
Mhm.
We'll be out ahead of this.
Yeah. So would it involve fleet vehicles within the town as well?
I
I know
haven't
there's not many
approached,
there's not many vehicles that, the town has.
more than likely, we'd start as a
It
residential
would be more
program.
residential. Okay.
And then would expand it to either commercial, depending on how the program rolls out and how many participants we get right off the bat. We may roll it out to the town or to commercial entities in town.
Great, thanks.
Just as a, kind of goes together, but it's somewhat interesting, I think, to what Mr. Snow was saying, where there's interest with the batteries. We're working on another project with a company called EnerBlue, and essentially, very interesting technology. For one of the first times, we're able to combine 24/7 solar and EnerBlue with the batteries, and we're working with various production plants, like manufacturing, like a food processing, where they're able to clip off about 15% energy savings, because they'll be able to recapture a lot of the heat loss in the processing. And also there's a number of refineries that we're trying to work with on the East Coast as well, as far as trying to recapture the same heat loss capacity with the 24/7 solar. And the missing part was the battery. And this company, EnerBlue, very interesting technology out of Tennessee, we're able to combine both of those technologies. So it is exciting, and I believe Mr. Snow's correct. It's going to be something that will change drastically in a very short period of time. So we certainly appreciate the effort that Mr. Folding is putting forth for EV in town.
Okay. Item 5 is annual town meeting article. Okay. So you want us to vote on it, or do you want to just have a sign it?
No, vote, please.
Oh, okay.
Wanna read it
This
into
is the
record?
annual
Yep.
town meeting warrant article that we use every year.
Mhm.
It's actually comes out of section 57 of chapter 164 of the general laws. And it's been around forever. So, if you want to take a quick look at it, Ken, and then we'll vote on it. Okay. Want to take a quick look at it?
You want me to read it into the record?
If you want, sure.
Okay.
Please.
I've read it 19 times.
Okay. 2018 Annual Town Meeting warrant article. Move the town vote to appropriate the income from the sales of electricity to private consumers or for electricity supplied to municipal buildings, municipal street lighting, or for municipal power, and for sales of appliances and jobbing during the current fiscal year to the municipal lighting plant. The whole to be expended by the general manager of the municipal lighting plant under the direction and control of the municipal lighting board for the expense of the plant for said fiscal year, as defined in section 57 of chapter 164 of the general laws, upon condition that if said income shall exceed said expense for said fiscal year, such excess shall be transferred to the construction fund of said plant and appropriated for used such additions thereto as may be authorized by municipal light board.
Okay.
There's a little lawyerese there.
Yeah,
Yes.
a little bit.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded to approve the meeting warrant article. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And we see here. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, brings us to the next agenda item, number 6, annual town meeting article for pilot payment. That's another one. 2017, payment in lieu of taxes to the town of Raleigh. Move the manager of the municipal light plant under the direction and control of the municipal light board, but the expenses of the plant for said fiscal year 18, as defined in section 57 of chapter 164 of the general laws, make a payment in lieu of taxes to the town of Raleigh in the amount of $34,660.93. That's basically the payment back on the
On the streetlights.
streetlights. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Entertain a motion.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded.
Seconded, yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. There you go.
Thank you.
Yep.
But,
Stealing it, Ben.
oh. Thanks.
Brings us to agenda item number 7.
At our last commissioners meeting, I handed out some policy manual changes that I put forth to the board. And you wanted to basically take the time to review the policy changes, and I guess that brings us to this point.
Okay.
One of them was the mutual aid policy. The second one was a sick leave policy, and the third one was a, let me read it correctly. A stipend for area cost of living policy. Those are the 3 policies that I put forth to the board to, either, one of them is new and 2 of them would make changes to those policies.
Excuse me?
One of them was new and the other 2 would make changes to existing policies.
We just review, just,
Sure. The mutual aid policy is going to change the existing wording in the policy. Currently, I'll read you the first paragraph. When an employee receives approval from the general manager to assist another city or town that has requested mutual aid, the employee shall be paid at a rate of double time during working hours, and the rate shall be paid from portal to portal. Sundays and holidays will be paid at the rate of double time and a half. So the new wording would read, when an employee receives approval from the general manager to assist another city or town that has requested mutual aid, the employee shall be paid at a rate of time and 1/2, and the rate shall be paid from portal to portal.
and would we be reimbursed from,
Mutual aid is always reimbursable from the requesting utility.
right? Okay.
The next policy is the sick leave policy, and the sick leave policy is it's 2.5 pages long, so I'm not sure if you want to read the whole thing. But basically what we're doing with that policy is eliminating the 4 sick days annual target. So if an employee uses more than 4 sick days in a year, they don't get sick time buyback for that year. So what we did in this policy is basically remove the 4-day penalty, and so now all sick time that's accumulated for that year will be put towards a buyback. The sick time buyback is capped at 200 days, so they can't accumulate any more than 200 days, and it's a 50% buyback.
Existing.
Existing, yes.
Existing.
Existing.
And this will put it to,
The only thing this changes is the accumulation would be on all the sick leave rather than on let's say a person is out 10 days sick that year, and they don't get sick time buyback for any of that sick leave for that entire year. This policy would make it so that any sick time that the employee has left over would be put towards their buyback. So they would basically just accumulate to the 200 days faster.
Okay.
all right, and lastly,
The last policy is a stipend for area cost of living. I'll read this one's fairly short, I can read the whole thing. All full-time and part-time RMLP employees who have worked at RMLP for 1 year or more will be paid a stipend of $1,200 on an annual basis to compensate them for the cost of living in the area. The stipend will be included in the last paycheck of the calendar year. The stipend is subject to all applicable taxes, withholdings, etc., as required by law and is the responsibility of the employee. At the discretion of the manager, the RMLP Board of Light Commissioners may suspend or terminate the stipend without notice. The amount of the stipend may be adjusted on an annual basis at the manager's discretion. And that's a new policy.
I just look at the rate of kilowatt hours and where we are compared to other towns. And then looking forward to the future, I can see some retirements coming up and the cost to the utility. So I have to balk, especially at the last one. So I cannot support that last policy.
Is there any other questions or comments or?
No. Cost of living, huh?
I'm just looking at the cost of doing business right now, and where the utility is, and the rate per kilowatt hour, and going down the road. You know, we're here to serve the customer, so any cost cutting we can do, I mean, I think we have to look at.
I believe the only policy that would really cost you anything would be the last one, the stipend for area cost of living. The other two policies, this sick time buyback policy, it's capped at 200 days anyway, so it's just a matter of how they get
How they accumulate them.
They're just gonna accumulate it faster than they were before, so that really isn't gonna cost you anything. The first two really don't cost you anything.
No.
The only one that will cost you anything is the last.
I can support the first two, but I can't support the last.
How much is that last one?
It's at $1,200 on an annual basis.
Wow. It is a little steep. Because we do get
It's 8 employees, so
years of service.
$9,600 a year.
We kick that in there too, so. That's a different payment.
Yeah, longevity is a different payment, yes.
So that kind of puts a little crimp in it. To come up with 20 feet. So I think I'd have to agree with Bob, at least for the time being. So we can kind of look at this maybe a little bit more and see how it works. But what do you think?
I can't support the last
No, I know
of the three.
you've already said that.
Yeah,
I was just wondering if we could, because they do get the stipends, not the stipends,
No.
but the,
No, I think, right now, I think that's the best we can do, you know, and we'll think about the ratepayer also.
yeah, there's no question about that.
And coming up, we have the potential of a couple of retirements coming down that will add to the cost, so. We need to look at the bigger picture, you know, and our rates, you know, creeping up a little bit, and we got contracts to go into, so. I can't support the last one.
Okay. Guess we'll have to hold the last one
Okay.
and maybe work with the others at the beginning and see how that goes.
All right, so are you going to approve the first two? I would just suggest we make a motion to vote on it if you're going to approve the first two and not the last one, that's all.
I want to do one at a time.
You want to do one at a time?
Yeah, we'll do
Okay,
that.
all right.
Okay. You want them doing just one at a time, or you want to give them the first two?
Okay, whatever you want to do, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I mean, I just assume give them the first one. It's not gonna be that big a deal on that. It's just the other is kind of a little bit steep.
So there's the sick leave one, and then there's the mutual aid one, so there's the
Yeah.
two, okay.
Yeah. And mutual aid that's just a,
Yeah.
to do it, because, you know, if we do it with somebody else, they're gonna do it with us. So it works both ways
Mhm.
on that particular one.
I'll
Okay.
give you a motion on mutual aid.
Do I have a second?
Second, yeah,
Okay.
that's a go.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor of number one, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Just to go along with that, we've got a letter here dated January 29th, 2018, Raleigh Municipal Light Plant. Attention Eric Grover, 47 Summer Street, Raleigh, Mass. 01969. Dear Eric, on behalf of the city commissioner, city officials, city staff, and residents of the city of Barstow, please accept our heartfelt appreciation for your service during our Hurricane Irma recovery efforts. Partnerships and mutual agreements with public utilities throughout the nation made it possible that the electric was fully restored safely and in a swift manner to our community. A proclamation honoring the participating public utilities and tree trimming crews were read aloud during the January 2nd, 2018 regular meeting of the Barstow Town Commission, and it was my privilege to forward you a copy of such proclamation to share with your staff. Thank you again for your assistance and best wishes for a successful 2018. City of Bartow, Florida, Mayor James F. Clements. So, that's the letter itself. This, I don't need to read it all, but it does have half a page of various cities, towns that participated and did some of the work for him, and also another column of tree trimmers, line workers, and it just goes on and on. So, Hurricane Irma, line workers, and tree trimmers appreciation day. I guess we didn't get into that one. So, it's a proclamation, and I think we'll get Dan to put it in a
I'll
Picture-
I'll
picture frame?
frame it and we'll
and
put it in
we'll
the,
put it on the wall.
Yep.
Because it
Guys
means
did a
a
good
lot.
job.
And Rowley actually had two linemen workers, and that worked out there for about 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
3
3
weeks.
weeks, yeah.
So, okay,
So,
we're gonna hang on to that.
okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'll give you a motion for the sick leave.
Okay, motion made. And-
Seconded, yeah.
Second, okay. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor of number 2, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay. So that brings us down to the last article, which is information for town report.
Every year, the light department puts a article together for the annual town report. And I believe I sent you to this, I sent you this in an email the other day. So it's just basically, if you want to read it into the record, it's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. It's up to you. But it's
Well,
basically,
It's typically the balance and things like that.
it's a basically an article first, which discusses our reliability award, which is what we've got in the second year in a row. Updates the customers on service connections, KWH sales, operations, maintenance, and capital budgets. It gives a little blurb about our system and contributions and services provided to the town. And that's basically covers the actual, the report as far as the wording goes. The next page is the Certificate of Excellence in Reliability. I can't say reliability. From the American Public Power Association that we received for the second year in a row
Yeah.
in March of last year. The last 2 pages are the income statement and balance sheet for the close of the year 2017. And that basically comprises the town report, and this will all be in the town report.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yep.
The Certificate of Excellence in Reliability. This is to acknowledge that Raleigh Municipal Light has achieved excellence in reliability by significantly outperforming the electric industry national average as reported by the Energy Information Administration. And we got this in 2 different years.
In March of 16 and March of 17.
So that's not bad at all.
No, it's very good.
Yep.
Excellent.
So.
Need a motion to put that into the town record?
What's that?
Do we need a motion to put that into?
It's up to
It
you.
wouldn't hurt.
All right, I'll give you a motion, Mr. Chairman, to put that into town record.
Motion made.
Seconded,
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Very good. Okay. That's what's on the agenda.
Give you a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman?
Motion to adjourn takes priority.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah. Just one question, one comment. On the DPU report, when might we expect release on the DPU report for 2017?
More likely towards the middle of March before it's ready. We still have to do some very finite things for the close of the year, and then the DPU report will be ready. We're working on it currently, but it's not quite ready yet.
Okay. I like to read those things. I work in power gen myself, and I'm an engineer.
Okay.
Work interests me. So
Yeah, if you want to check back with me or check back with the office around the middle of March, we should have it by then.